Help me. Scripture reads in St. Matthew 16:24, then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross. Yeah. His cross, not my cross. Not even the cross Jesus died on. See, that was a rough cross there. See, you couldn't carry that cross. It was too heavy for Jesus. Somebody had to help him carry it. But he says, let him deny himself and take up his own cross and follow me. Whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. And it says here, for what is a man profit if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? It says 27, for the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to what? According to his works. You know, sometimes people try to buy their way in heaven, or they try to, it says that our righteousness is as a filthy rag. But when God works become your works become good works. Because there's none good but the Father. So we're not talking about our goodness or our righteousness, because there's nothing good in us but Jesus when we receive him. Outside of that, Adam was formed from the dust of the ground. God blew into him the breath of life, and then man became a living soul. Okay, but that emptiness that man had because of what Adam and Eve did, God was so far away from us because of sin. He hates sin. It took Jesus to bring God down with us. Say, Lord, I am with you, Emmanuel, God with you, the Son. And this is Jesus, he's preaching here. Number 27, once again, say, for the Son of Man shall come in his glory, talking about when he returned of his Father, glory of his Father with angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. But you got to understand, these are the works that God have given us to work. They become our works. The scripture says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. The only works that glorify the Father that's in heaven is the works that Jesus teaches us. So you just can't work yourself into heaven just by having good morals. Good morals can't keep us. You need power. You need to be acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you can prove what's good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That will can become your will when you open up and receive the will of God. Jesus was in the garden and he said, if it be, let this cup pass. But then he told God, he said, not as I will, but thy will. Yeah, your will becomes my will. Yeah, and once that happens, it becomes the good works of God. In the 16th chapter of St. Matthew's, Jesus asked his disciples, who do men say that I am? This is the 16th chapter. When you get up to the 13th verse, he begins to ask the disciples, and I'm not going to read that, who do men say that I am? And they say, some say. All they had was some say. They didn't have, because it wasn't personal to them. It was about somebody else. But then he gets personal. He said, who do you say that I am? Because the first time he asked them that, when they said some say, he asked them, who do men say that I am? And they began to tell him that some say that you are Jeremiah. Some say that you are Elias. Yeah. And some say that you're John the Baptist. So he know that these men are discombobulated and confused about who he is. Most of them thought he was John the Baptist, coming back from the dead at one point. But we see he gets personal because this is what's going to save you. You have to have a personal relationship with God through his son Jesus. You have to have a personal, you can't go on what mama think about Jesus. See, mama always have thought Jesus was the one, the bomb, you know. Back in the day when we wasn't saved, mama, she had that big Bible sitting right there in the living room on the coffee table, and it was most of the time open on the book of Psalms, and she would play those gospel songs on Sundays and that, you know. Might not be living as perfect as some people thought she was, but I did know that she loved God. I'm trying to tell you, she did love God. You remember that, mama? You had that big Bible sitting on the table, and we would, you know, and then we had those 8-track tapes, and she would slide one in, and it would be gospel music on it. We didn't understand the foolishness, but once we got saved, we began to understand that we had to live this thing. We couldn't just listen to this thing. We have to live this thing and let the word come into our hearts, right? And let Jesus live in us. And then we have to understand WWJD, what would Jesus do, and do what he would do. But he asked his disciples, who do men say, and they say, some say, when he personally asked them, they were confused again. Because nobody stood up at first. But then Peter, the man of God, Peter was impetuous. He was impulsive. And most of you are. Most of you, you go by your impulse. I can tell when I talk to you, a bust out, whether you know the answer or not, you just say it, la, la, la. Even in school, you know, you have multiple choice. Sometimes you don't study, you just pick what you want. Impulsive, you don't take time to study. But you know, at school now, they slap them cell phones out and they can Google the answer and put it on the paper. You know, that's why they don't want y'all with y'all cell phones in the classroom. Because if I was in school now, I'd make straight A's. All you got to do is Google what the teacher asked, and then you sitting over there, hey, we got a young man in Bible study. Hey, every time we ask the question, he got 2 phones. He Googled whatever we asked. So this thing is easy in these days. Back in the day when I was in school, Lord have mercy, I couldn't Google nothing. The teacher can tell when you didn't study the night before. You had to study to show yourself approval unto God. A workman needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Nobody stood up, but then Peter, he got it. Peter, he got it, and he didn't get it from the disciples. He didn't even get it from Jesus, but God put it in his spirit from heaven, say, hey, Peter stood up and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And it got Jesus' attention. And Jesus said, flesh and blood didn't deliver that to you. See, but my Father which is in heaven gave you that information. And he says, Peter, upon this rock, upon what you said came out of your mouth as a rock. Upon your belief, I'm going to build my church on what you said. Not this rock sitting over here, but this rock that came out of your mouth through the Spirit. I'm going to build my church on your belief. Can I get a witness? Give God a praise right where you are. See, I'm going to build my church on that, what you said. Peter said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living. That was in verse 16 and 16. You know, he got excited, right? And Jesus said, what you say, I'm going to build my church on it. But in verse 16, 22, and I don't know if she's going to put that on the screen, but I believe she is. Listen, Peter rebuked Jesus. I mean, we go a few verses down. I mean, we didn't even come off the page. And Dr. Toyetta, we go a few verses down and Peter done changed his mind. See, that's the kind of problem we have as a people, being formed from the dust of the ground and shaped in iniquity. We're just not stable without God. You know, because every now and then we'll think good, we want to do good, and we say stuff good, and we want to give. The next day, hey, we bad, we want to knock somebody out, we want to take what they got and call them stupid. Why do we fluctuate like that? See, in 22, then took him and began to rebuke him, saying, be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. Jesus was telling them, say, look, Now, y'all know I've been teaching y'all, and I just told you my church is built on what Peter said. But then he told them about how they're going to come and get him. He said, they're coming to get me, and I'm going to have to carry a cross. And not only am I going to have to carry that cross, they're going to make me plant it, put me on it, and kill me. And Peter, he's in the spirit a few verses up, but he's in the flesh a few verses down. That's our problem. We think good. That's what happens when you're confused, and that's what happens when you're in between the flesh and the spirit, and your spirit man cannot control your flesh. See, he will take you to hell and drop you off your flesh, and you get mad with everybody else, but it's not everybody else. The enemy is in me. You got me? The enemy. See, we call everybody the enemy, but the enemy, I mean, the word is self-explanatory. The enemy, listen at it. Enemy, 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 enemy is in me. I control my destiny. Not my neighbor. My neighbor can curse me out. I don't have to fight. I don't have to shoot him. I don't get mad because I know who I am. The enemy can be into me, but I don't want him into me. He can be into you, but not into me. Because I want to stay free. This is why when we stand before God, Dr. Neely, God is not going to bring up that guy that slapped you last week. He's going to look at how you took it and what you did afterwards. And I know slaps, I need it. You know what y'all say? Please be patient with me. God is not through with me. You're right, he ain't through with us. But you slap me, you better hope I don't slap you back. If I slap you back with the power I got, I might knock you. I shouldn't be saying. Oh, reflexes. Oh, I put a hickey on his head. Oh. Listen, I'm not going there because I know how angry we get. And my prayer is this: Lord, lead me not into temptation. And this is what you have to say when you're dealing with people. Because a lady busted a lady in the head up at the restaurant up the street just for arguing over chicken the other day. What do you do? Well, you turn the other cheek. You have to be strong. You have to walk away. You have to gather yourself and say, look, I'm not that low anymore. And God is giving us the power to stand, doing all to stand. Therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ have made us free. Because if you're down there rolling all on the floor inside the restaurant down there, you're not going to look saved. You done pull a lady hair out and top off and all that, and then you talking about Jesus. Lord have mercy. No, you have mercy. So we got to get out of this flesh thing. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm tired of fighting. I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. I don't want to be hit, and I don't want to be talked. I don't want to be cursed at. I don't want nobody throwing no bird at me. Look, I don't want you to be behind me blowing when I'm going to speed limit, come around me and look at me like I'm crazy. I don't want you to do that. But I want to stay saved. Are there any people in the church who want to stay saved? Let me see you. Give God a praise right where you are. Fighting is over. I don't want to fight no more. And if you don't want to do it, you pray, you say, God, lead me not into temptation. Keep it away from me. You pray and God will give you power. I try not to go, certain places I try not to go in because I know there's some nuts in there. You got that many people want chicken with all that hot stuff on it, there's something going on. Give me some baked chicken like Dr. Dixon, some baked fish. Too many people hovering around. It's just, something in there not right. We supposed to deny yourself when it comes down to that old spicy chicken. You buy 2 wings and sand your whole car down with them. They rough. Can you imagine what happened when they get in your colon? So, that thing scrape walls off your colon when you eat it. And you around here just, I love this stuff. Crunch, crunch, crunch. That stuff stay in you for 2 days, 3 days. Can't get it out. Stop up everything. Grease. And so what you have to try to do, if you want to deny yourself, you live simple. Live, we used to, if you don't be like the world. I mean, come on. I'm getting ready to go there. Peter, he and I won't be long, it's a little warm. But Peter, he said, look, Jesus, that ain't happening. Be it far, take that right there, what you just said, and be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. So Jesus had to turn around and tell Peter, who he have just lifted up. A few verses ahead of that, he's telling Peter, boy, you the only one stood out. You the only one God spoke through. You the only one heard what God wanted to say about me. And then a few scriptures later, he's taking Peter and saying, look, that what you said, that's the devil. Get behind me, Satan. That show you how much help we need. Out of the same mouth, we rebuking Jesus when we praised him a few scriptures earlier. This is why we should carry our cross daily. The cross helps you deny yourself. You hear me, don't you? My topic is this. There is a cross for everyone. Yeah, there's a cross for everyone. Back in the day, they sung a song, must Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free? The song says, there is a cross for everyone, and there is a cross for me. It's not the same cross Jesus died on. Sometimes we get caught up in that cross. But that cross was atonement. It set the tone for us to live and be reconciled. Reconciliation, that's the word I'm looking for. That atonement was turned into reconciliation. Reconciliation is when you reconcile, you're able to communicate. We wasn't able to communicate with God. We wasn't able to have that relationship with God because of the sin that was in our lives, even though the law was here. And in the law, the Jews thought that they can be circumcised, and it was only for men. Once you were circumcised, they would cut the meat of the skin back and get rid of the bad part. Circumcision spiritually is they circumcise your heart spiritually. It takes the bad part, the unrighteous living out of your heart. That reconciliation is tied to God, and you have that unity that Adam and Eve had, and beyond that, because the devil can't do you like he did Adam and Eve anymore. Can I get a witness? Because Jesus Christ in you is the hope of glory. As long as you keep him in you, you have hope for glory. Can I get a witness in the church? So you can't focus all on that particular cross. That cross was a fleshly cross. It was a tree that they cut down and made a cross out of it. This cross that Jesus is talking about right here in is it chapter 24? But that particular cross, it says, then Jesus said unto his disciples, if any man will come after me and let him deny himself, it says, and take up his cross and follow me. That particular cross is spiritual. It's spiritual. See, you could not have taken the cross that Jesus was on. This atrocity was unhumane. The Romans, they banned that stuff. That cross right there, they banned it. It's banned now because it's unhumane to do a person like that. But God chose the most unhumane thing to put before us and to allow his son to be on it, to show us how terrible the flesh is and what you're going to have to do to it in order to get rid of it. Can I get a witness in the church? He could have took anything. Lethal injection, he could have took anything. The electric chair, he could have took anything to get rid of this flesh. But you were a trophy in that day. And the Romans chose this atrocity to show people that if you break our law, not talking about the laws of God. Caesar didn't play.